On this edition of Fulton Law and Justice, residents line up by the dozens to get an opportunity for a second chance. Fulton's solicitor takes us to his first Restorative Justice Freedom Summit. And there are two new chief judges on the bench for Superior Court and Juvenile Court. We'll hear from them both. I'm Douglas Bell, and Fulton Law and Justice starts right after the break. Stay with us. Welcome to Fulton Law and Justice, your inside look at the works of Fulton's justice partners. I'm Douglas Bell. We begin with good news for a number of Fulton County residents who were once on the wrong side of the law. People who had been arrested for misdemeanors but had not been convicted have been given a fresh start thanks to the Restorative Justice Freedom Summit. The event was sponsored by the Fulton County Solicitor General, who takes us there in this edition of Restorative Justice.
Hello, I'm Keith Gammage, your Fulton County Solicitor General, here at the Labor and Government Freedom Summit, where we're expunging records, helping folks to have the opportunity to register to vote, to find new job and success opportunities. Part of our ongoing efforts with restorative justice involve continuing the work of cleaning old misdemeanor criminal records in Fulton County. You're welcome to log on to fultonrestorativejustice.org and apply for your own record restriction to have the opportunity for new jobs and a second chance at success. Please hear now from Kenya Johnson with more. Today you all are being patient and waiting in line to get a second chance at success.
In long lines outside the IWEB building in Southwest Atlanta, residents patiently waited to get the help many had hoped to receive for years. Like Miss Connie Copeland, who had a prior arrest but never a conviction.
I came out with the expectation of coming to this restorative program to have my record expunged of some incidents that happened in my past in my life.
This was the Restorative Justice Freedom Summit, complete with prosecutors, public defenders, judges, and jobs.
The public defenders that are here are helping the citizens that come in fill out their applications. From there, that information is being taken over to the Solicitor General's office, where the records are being checked. So our GCIC, NCIC records are being checked to ensure that the individuals are actually eligible for restriction. Once they find that the cases are eligible for restriction, they've been dead docket, they've been otherwise not prosecuted, then they bring the orders to us. We confirm that the orders are exactly what they say they are, and then we're happy to sign them.
You all better not leave here without registering to vote.
Community partners joined Fulton Solicitor General to get the residents the help they needed this day.
Women of Delta Sigma Theta sorority are doing what we're doing this morning, and that is to help our brothers and sisters and the citizens of this community.
It's important to us because there's so many people who cannot gainfully get employment, and we represent people and want to make sure that people are gainfully employed.
The Fulton Solicitor had worked with other county departments in 2017 on a records restriction program, but this was the first one that included labor professionals and civic partners. The Georgia Justice Project is one of them.
4.2 million people in Georgia have a criminal record. 4.2 out of 10 million people. So when anyone, much less the government, the solicitor, what's happening here today, comes out and says, you want to help people with that issue, you're going to see an outpouring of folks come out. And this is the law in Georgia, that if you've been arrested and not convicted, you can go through that process to have your record restricted from the state record and have it sealed by a judge. And that way background check companies and housing folk and employment folk will not see it.
It's a second chance program. It's a second chance that people can get their backgrounds cleared up of incidents that are on there that occurred that they haven't been able to clear up, and those that are on there that can be cleared up. This is the day to do it.
And the day that many here will never forget. Reporting for Restorative Justice, I'm Kenya Johnson.
Thank you, Kenya. As you can see, we're helping the citizens of Fulton County. To learn more about our programs and resources, we invite you to visit our website, Facebook, and Instagram pages, to sign up and also to receive the Gammage Report to hear our latest news and events from our office. You can also reach us for questions at 404-612-4800. Thank you for joining us for this edition of Restorative Justice.
Thank you, Solicitor. We're pleased to report over 1,000 people attended and nearly 400 records were cleared. When we come back, meet Fulton's new Chief Judge of Superior Court. Stay with us. Welcome back. There's a new Chief Judge of the Superior Court of Fulton County and the Atlanta Judicial Circuit. The Chief Judge is the highest judicial administrative officer in Fulton County and is essential to the successful operations of the Atlanta Judicial Circuit. The Honorable Robert McBurney is the new Chief Judge. Sir, welcome to Fulton Law and Justice.
Hi, Douglas. Thanks for having me.
First things first, explain to everyone a little more about the role of the Chief Judge.
Well, I've come to learn the Chief Judge does a little bit of everything. It's a pretty broad portfolio, but I think it's helpful, it's been helpful for me and hopefully for the viewer, to break it down into 3 categories. One, the Chief Judge is a planner. I have a slightly smaller caseload than my colleagues, which gives me an opportunity to think about where the courts have been, where they might go, and help generate a vision for the bench that I can share with my colleagues, and if the bench approves it, then I can help implement that vision. So that's role 1. Role 2 is a communicator. On behalf of my colleagues, both the Superior Court bench and the other benches, if so designated, I'll be communicating what the judges are thinking or feeling, what they're concerned about, where they'd like to see change or progress. I'd be the one going to the meetings with the county commissioners, the county manager, the sheriff, and whatnot, as the representative of Superior Court, or in the appropriate instance, the courts of the Atlanta Judicial Circuit. And finally, the Chief Judge is definitely a firefighter. When something comes up that needs to be addressed, that comes to the Chief Judge. You have an angry lawyer or litigant who's fussing about a judge, that comes to the Chief Judge. You have a judge who's angry or fussing about something that happened or didn't happen, that comes to the Chief Judge. And he or she tries to put that fire out.
What's on the agenda for the court in 2018?
As I see it, I wonder what's not on the agenda. We are tackling a number of very important issues for our bench as well as our justice partners. One of them is the pay and classification project we've engaged on as we work to figure out how best to compensate our employees in Superior Court, State Court, Juvenile Court, Magistrate Court, etc. We're also working on a case management project, working with some good consultants to see if we can become even more efficient as we try to process one of the busier caseloads in the country. We're working on some technological initiatives that are bringing in the latest in technology to help our judges and our litigants and our citizens work more efficiently and effectively together. And there are a host of other things that I know of, and I'm sure there'll be many more that end up arising as I fulfill these various roles.
And let's not forget Accountability Court. How important is that court program?
Accountability courts are the bedrock of this state's leadership, and Georgia really is in the vanguard of diverting people out of this endless cycle of arrest, conviction, hit the streets, arrest, conviction, back to the streets, with no focus on what's causing the criminal conduct. And in many, many situations, it's an addiction, it's a mental health issue, or both. And accountability courts are designed to address that, the root causes, and reduce recidivism. It saves money and it rebuilds lives. My hope is, going forward, 2 things can happen. 1, we can begin to coordinate better with our counterparts on the state court. They have a DUI court, and we have the treatment diversion court that historically has been magistrate and state court. I think is more magistrate focused right now. But if we can try to bring those and align those, that's number 1. Number 2, I trust and hope that the county commission will support this. This is a set of courts that achieve some important goals that I know the county cares about. 1, it reduces the jail population by keeping people out. And 2, it focuses on both the mental health and addiction initiatives that I know the commission is serious about. So I look forward to partnering with them. They can make it a budget priority. We can make it an implementation priority.
Fulton is one of the busiest trial courts in the state. How is the court managing the caseload?
Well, as best it can, of course. As I mentioned in response to one of the other questions, we're in the midst of an exciting project with consultants from the Justice Management Institute who are helping us put together a case management plan that really draws on the strengths of the various judges who are already doing well with case management. But it's meant to be a blueprint for us to more efficiently move the cases, civil and criminal, forward towards resolution. We also rely on magistrates that are shared with us by the chief magistrate. We have some senior judges who can come in when there's a pinch. We have judicial officers that help the family division. It's a group effort. We have by far the largest docket in the state, and it's a complicated docket. We get issues from state agencies and whatnot. We're doing our best to stay ahead of it, and I feel like we're doing so.
Final thoughts, Judge?
We're in an exciting place right now. We've benefited from 4 years of excellent leadership from my predecessor, Gail Tucson. We've got an energetic bench on Superior Court, an energetic bench State Court, great justice partners all around, a county commission that seems ready to work with us on moving forward, a county manager who is recentering us on customer service. It's a great opportunity. It's an honor and a privilege to represent this bench and the other justice partners as we forge ahead in making Fulton County first in service on all fronts.
The Honorable Robert McBurney, Fulton's new Chief Judge of Superior Court. Thank you for your time and good luck.
Thank you so much for having me on the program.
And when we come back, we'll introduce you to the new Chief Judge of Juvenile Court. We'll be right back. Not only does Fulton have a new Chief Judge of Superior Court in 2018, it also has a new Chief Judge of Juvenile Court, the Honorable Juliette Scales. Welcome to Fulton Law and Justice.
Well, thanks for having me.
Please tell us about the role of the Chief Judge and what it entails.
The Chief Judge position is a position that's designated by the Superior Court of Fulton County. So that was a position that was designated for me. And as Chief Judge, my responsibilities will include representing the court, being the judicial leader for the judges that are here. We have 7 judges on our bench. So I will be the judicial leader for the bench. And then also I will be functioning as the leader of the court. I will have, of course, assisting me a court administrator who's responsible for overseeing the fiscal management and personnel management and all of the court services and programs. But I will be the leader of the court to ensure that those programs and services that are provided through our court also meet the mandates, state mandates, county mandates, federal regulations are all required to be met, and it would be my responsibility to ensure that that occurs.
I understand that you have served on the juvenile court for over 15 years. Please share with us some of your background.
I began my career with the Public Interest Law Clinic in Washington, D.C., where I was a staff attorney for the Public Defender's Office and also for the Veterans Board of Appeals. The work I did there really led me to want to do more public service. I began my work after graduation with the State Attorney's Office in Florida. I then had an opportunity to work with the District Attorney's Office here in Fulton County. I worked in the juvenile court while with the District Court, and I also worked in the Appellate Court Division. From there, I began to work with the Division of Family and Children Services, and after that I was chosen to be an associate judge. In 2002, I was appointed as an associate judge, and I've served as an associate judge until 2013 when I was appointed to be a presiding judge. And I've since served as a presiding judge until recently receiving this appointment. In addition to the presiding judge duties, I'm now serving as the Chief Judge of Fulton County Juvenile Court.
What attracted you to working with children and families within the court system?
Well, I've had a chance to work with children just in my day-to-day life, I guess. I've done some work within the school systems and things like that, but I really believe that children, of course, are our future, and we really need to work to make sure that our future, that our children have all of what they need to be successful what I have done through my work has allowed me to experience opportunities to help families and children improve their lives and in turn impact the lives of others and the lives of the community as a whole.
How would you describe the role of juvenile court in the Fulton County community?
Well, we have a very active role to play in Fulton County. This court functions in essence as a resource for children and family, both before they become involved with the system in hopes of preventing any involvement, and then even after involvement to ensure that their risk and needs are assessed, that we identify the appropriate services or programs for them. Children that are involved in the Division of Family and Children's Services, we are to ensure that they're placed in appropriate placements and that those resources and services that are needed for parents to be reunited with them are provided through the Division of Family and Children's Services. So we're an active part of the community. We do want to ensure that the community has opportunity to have engagement with the court, and there are stakeholders within our community and resources that are within our community that we hope that families that have even come to the court for assistance are able to be connected to by the services that we have for them here. This court is one that has the mission of protecting children, rehabilitating children, restoring families, and ensuring that those that are involved in that process have an opportunity to be educated about the process and also an opportunity to improve their lives through that process.
And finally, what is the juvenile court's philosophy and vision for providing service in Fulton County for those who the court encounters?
Well, again, our philosophy is consistent with what we are supposed to do within the community. We are rehabilitative services, we're restoration services, we're to provide programs and assistance, but also, of course, at the core of any court, we must ensure that trials are conducted fairly, that they're impartially, that there are attorneys that can represent them appropriately and provide then assistance through that process. We are engaged in all of those things within the community that we're contacted about that can assist those that come before the court. And as we work with them, work with those partners, and work with the community, we're able to ensure that there is a connection. Some of our programming here sponsored through or supported by volunteers, and without the volunteers we would not be able to do the kind of work that we do offer the community. We have some programming here that is supported completely by nonprofit organizations, and then there are other partnerships that have been developed. This court has partnership with the school systems. We have partnership also with the mental health and behavioral health community as well. So together we're able to ensure that the services and programs that we have to offer within the court are also available to those within our community.
Judge Juliette Scales, we wish you well and thank you for joining us.
It was a pleasure being here with you today.
We'll be right back to wrap up Fulton Law and Justice. And finally, for those of you who have to handle business in the courthouse, Fulton commissioners approved a fee increase for a service provided by state and magistrate court. It's the process serving fees that have been modified because the previous fee schedule did not recover the actual costs incurred in the service process. The increase passed with no comments from the public or the board. For service of process against defendants in civil actions in state court, the fee is now $50 instead of $25. The costs for serving defendants in tenants holding over cases in both courts will rise from $25 to $35. And it will now cost $75 instead of $60 to apply and execute an eviction of holdover tenants. The fee increases are within the limits imposed by the Georgia General Assembly. Fulton County has committed itself to serving its residents in 6 priority areas. The strategic goal for Fulton's justice partners is making sure that all people are safe. On Fulton Law and Justice, we show you how Fulton's law enforcement and justice partners are doing that every day in how they serve and in the programs they provide to enhance the lives of all people, young and old. Well, we hope you've enjoyed this edition of Fulton Law and Justice. I'm Douglas Bell. We'll see you next time.